figured it would be fitting to grab two guys that have some ties to AEW. But we're gonna do rapid fire here with Liv Morgan apparently posing some extreme creative. In a recent interview with Ryan Satin, Liv Morgan basically said it would surprise you the creative that she has proposed and has been denied. That basically Liv shined a little bit of a light on a hardcore side or a more extreme side last year during her rivalry with Ronda Rousey, where she was diving through tables, Singapore, getting Singapore canes, chairs, yada yada yada. And Liv basically said that was what brought her to the wrestling business. That, the hardcore style is what made her want to get into the wrestling business. And the fact that she has been able to do that now in WWE, it is a way of bringing things full circle. And she would love to do more, but she has had so many creative ideas denied that it would surprise you what she has proposed and what she has had denied, but she would love to do more, which is surprising to me, but also, it's a pleasant sight because you want to see more like that. You want to see people, I guess, living a dream and going full circle, and it definitely seems like Liv Morgan is living a dream and has improved tremendously and just has gotten a lot more comfortable over the last couple of years in WWE. Deonna Purrazzo has re-signed with Impact Wrestling for another year, which is a big get, as it seemed like Impact had an option that they could exercise for another year, and that's exactly what they did, as Purrazzo has been a very strong person, a strong get, number one, and a big piece in raising the stake of the Impact Wrestling Women Knockouts division. And the fact that they are able to keep her for another year, it shows how important it is for Deonna to be in the Impact Wrestling Knockouts division. So that was a big thing for Impact Wrestling. I know how to speak, believe me. Another rapid fire news is that the O2 Arena will host the SmackDown before Money in the Bank, as Money in the Bank is set to take place in London, England this year, which was a big surprise for fans and everyone that a pay-per-view of the magnitude of Money in the Bank will take place internationally. But I guess WWE couldn't invent another pay-per-view unless they just did Clash at the Castle again. But this does bring up the question, what happens with Clash at the Castle? Or will WWE do 2 pay-per-views overseas? I suggest not doing that because you don't want to overextend the market in a short period of time, doing 1 a year like they used to do. Actually, they used to do 2 a year with Insurrection and Rebellion. But doing 1, it's better because, you make them salivate for the 1 as opposed to expecting 2. But either way, we also have a story, now we're going to get into the AEW stories where the Bunny seemed to have been injured during her match with Jamie Hayter last night, where the Bunny, from what I understand, did not fully rotate, it seemed like she did not fully rotate or go completely over, taking a T-bone the Haterade from Jamie Hayter, and it possibly looked like she landed on her head, which, that's always a scary situation. Right now, we don't have a lot of information, but what we do know is that the medical team from AEW after the match was checking on the Bunny, and I, for one, will update you in anything that I find out, either here or on Twitter. I wish nothing but the best to the Bunny and hope that it's nothing serious and that she will recover, that she recovers, from whatever it was very quickly, and that it doesn't turn out to be anything serious. Because it's scary anytime we see that, especially after what happened with Hangman Page and Big E over the last 2 years. It's a scary situation. But we also have the main event of AEW Revolution set up and ready to go with Bryan Danielson living up to his end of the bargain, winning every match for the last month on Dynamite, and defeating Rush in what was a very hard-hitting affair last night on Dynamite, but was jumped immediately after by AEW World Champion MJF and was put into a into a Fujiwara armbar, which again, after Danielson has had a hurt arm, I think since Kushida, if I'm correct, since his match with Kushida a couple weeks ago. But either way, at Revolution, a weakened Danielson will fight MJF in an Iron Man match. In my opinion, to my knowledge, this might be one of the first Iron Man matches in AEW. And if it isn't, it is definitely the first Iron Man match on pay-per-view in AEW, as MJF will defend the AEW World Championship against Bryan Danielson at Revolution in an Iron Man match. It is an incredible event for Bryan Danielson and MJF, as that is the first of many matches. We know AEW, so there's going to be many matches, and one of them is likely going to be a rematch for the AEW Tag Team titles, as I will get to that in a second, because we have two more bits of information to get to, as I totally forgot. I'm not going to get into it, I will get into it in another video, but WWE 2K23 has expanded the rosters and has announced that the roster will consist of NXT talent, and I am ecstatic to hear that the likes of Carmelo Hayes, Braun Breaker, and others will be in the game next year, or this year rather, because they were missing last year. And NXT, I felt like, I've said this in previous videos, and I said this when I was watching the gameplay trailer, that NXT did not have as much representation in the last game as I feel like they should have. And now that they are actually getting that representation, it will allow fans the opportunity to get to know the NXT stars before they get to the main roster, and have a better estimation of who's who when they get to the main roster, because it'll give them the opportunity to play with that talent before they make it to Raw or SmackDown. So it's to the advantage of WWE to put those stars in the WWE video games, because it allows fans to get to know them before they get to the main roster. Also, we'll get to it before we wrap up the video, but the first inductee into the Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame was announced, but we will get to that again before the end of the video. As we jump back to AEW Dynamite last night, and the fact that the Acclaimed are no longer the AEW World Tag Team Champions, and the Guns have stolen the AEW Tag Team titles in a similar way to how Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal almost stole the belts a few weeks ago. The Guns actually did steal the titles from Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, and that's why I said it is very likely we will see the Guns and the Acclaimed in a rematch at Revolution. But either way, the Guns, props to them after beating FTR in what could be FTR's last match in AEW, and now beating the Acclaimed to become the tag team champions. In my opinion, it's another homegrown star for AEW to build around. I'm also going to throw this out there now, I may be doing something with with a video fixated on MLW, going through the pay-per-view calendar, but on April 2nd, 2023, during WrestleMania weekend, at the Millennium Biltmore Hotel in Los Angeles, California, the second class of the Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame, as announced by Game Changer Wrestling, is the fallen angel, Christopher Daniels. Christopher Daniels will be inducted by his longtime friend and tag team partner, Frankie Kazarian, into the Hall of Fame on April the 2nd at WrestleCon. GCW established the Indie Wrestling Hall of Fame last year, with the first class consisting of Tracy Smothers, Ruckus, Homicide, Jerry Lynn, Dave Prazak, and Lufisto. I will keep you guys up to date on who else will be inducted into the Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame as we keep going. Daniels has held championships everywhere he's been, in Ring of Honor, TNA, Impact Wrestling, and, of course, AEW, and currently holds an executive position within AEW. He has done it all in his 30-year-plus career, and it is a more than deserving honor for Christopher Daniels to be the first inductee into the Indie Wrestling Hall of Fame class of 2023. With that being said, we are done with the news today. Any more news, I will set up another video and share it for your viewing pleasure. But with that being said, I will see you in the next video.